I am determined to clear my money wounds. Enough is enough. I'm willing to let the universe guide me into something better, and this is the moment of accountability that I'm taking. This is the moment that I will look back on and realize, wow, that was one of the turning points in my life. This is Mindset by Natalia, and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be my personal journey with how I am going to clear big money blocks, okay? I want to talk about money. I want to make money. I want to have conversations. I want to have businesses. I want to do all of these things, but I realize and I understand that there's a lot of limiting blocks that I currently have right now that are blocking my potential from really expanding into that ever abundant person that I am. And this is something I want you to remember. Abundance in your journey with money is not a let me find my way. It's let me go back into that first moment when I was born into the world and I came knowing that I was 100% worthy of exactly anything that I wanted. All of my desires were placed in my heart for a reason, right? The universe and God have guided me up until now. But everyone that has been around me and societal conditionings and myself and my own limiting beliefs have led me to a place where I've lost sight of the fact that I am just a pure, abundant being. There is no scarcity in the world. So many religions look up to, oh, well, when I get to heaven, it'll be perfect. When I do this, it'll be perfect, like some kind of afterlife. I'm like, why can't you have the best of life and what it has to offer you right now, during your life? Why are we waiting around? We have the ability of creating anything that we desire. Our thoughts, as we know, create our words, create our actions, create our reality. So I'm taking the stance to do that change now. So let's go through the history of money wounds. Everyone has their own narrative. Everyone has their own story, right? I just flew back to Mexico, where a lot of my family resides, and I was able to talk to uncles, to aunts, to cousins that I hadn't in a long time. And it made me have such a clear realization of why some of the thoughts that I have don't only come from me or what I've been taught by my family, but this goes back generations. How generations before us have thought that certain things were possible, other things weren't possible. How sometimes they feel like they have to rely on someone else. How sometimes they feel overwhelmed because they're providing everything for their families. And in this case, it just opened my eyes to this reality of this isn't just my thoughts that I'm carrying. It's a whole generation's worth of different mentality. And that's what I'm working on shifting, right? All of my channel is about shifting your mindset. And a lot of times I'm realizing in my own life that it comes down to sometimes you're scared to have money because of the responsibility you think that it will carry. I can't tell you how many comments I've heard in my family, friends, just people around me of people saying, like, just these, like, haha, laugh off jokes, like, oh yeah, like, this person will pay for that, or, yeah, I can rely on this person to do that for me. And it's like, I feel like subconsciously, again, this is all mostly subconscious, subconsciously that's made me think, eek, if I had money, would people take advantage of me? Would people just expect me to pay for things? Would I like feel just yucky because I'm like, of course I want to help my family, of course I want to help the people around me, but no one wants to be taken advantage of. And I think that that's one of the big blocks that I have is listening to all of these stories I've heard my whole life growing up from all over, like societal, cultural, family dynamics and understanding them more so like what's going on beneath the surface. So that's what I want to come back to. Like, why is there a fear of success? Not even a fear of failing. Why is there a fear of when I make it big? Like, that's when everyone will come into my life. That's when people will depend on me. That's when I'm more vulnerable and susceptible to being taken advantage of. But this isn't like written in stone, right? This is my mentality of what I've cultivated based off what I've experienced, what I've heard, what I've said myself. Like, this isn't just it's not a victim story of, yeah, like everyone just told me this and boo-hoo, now I have to deal with this. No, I've also carried on this narrative for myself because in some way it makes you feel still connected. So many times people are afraid to up level. They're afraid of actually being successful because they don't know what's going to happen when they do. Will they lose family members? Will they lose friends? Will they, like, I feel like so many people that are stepping into that next level are just terrified because they're like, ooh, I don't know if people in my life right now are gonna come up to that next level with me. And that can feel really, really isolating. I think that literally goes against our biology about wanting to be in community and being accepted by other people. All of a sudden, if people are making fun of you or like trying to take advantage of you or anything when it comes to money or anything else, all of a sudden you close up and you're like, this feels super unsafe. So it's no wonder that we have these scars around our abundance. I have unconsciously deemed certain limiting beliefs to be true. But like I say in so many videos, you decide what is true. If you truly believe something, it'll show up in your life. This isn't even like manifestation and stuff like that. Like, of course it is, the ask, believe, receive. But in general, anything that you truly believe in your life, you will find evidence for. I always say, why do you think there's so many religions and political views and things that we like, things that we don't like, things that we find acceptable or not? Because whatever it is that you think is true, you're going to find evidence of. So here it's, how can I consciously become aware of the new thoughts and patterns I want to have around money and abundance? That's the main thing, right? It's what is going on in my mind, but I'm not translating it really to my conscious mind. A lot of stuff is going on in the subconscious right now. And I need to move more towards my consciousness, because if I have consciousness around something that I truly want to believe, and I'm not only susceptible to believing that something is true, I'm choosing intentionally to believe that it's true. I'm choosing intentionally to believe that I'm an abundant being. That is going to get you there so much faster, because now you have intention. It's not just, I believe anything that I'm told. Everyone knows the most dangerous thing in the world is when you believe anything you're told is true. I am putting out my desire. This is a huge step. This is the ask. What am I asking for? If you're saying, I want to be a millionaire, I want to have all this money, I want to have security, I want to have abundance. What do you mean? And I need to answer this question myself too, because when I say all these things, I want to have a successful business, I want to be a millionaire, all of these things, it's like amazing, but we need to get way more specific. If you just want to see $1 million, you can see that in someone else's bank account. Like, you need to be so specific with what you intentionally want, and that goes to what I was just saying of, you need to hold intentionality for new choices that you are now making. Money, friendships, career, family, business, whatever it is, you have the intentional choice of what is in your life, of what you create, of what you allow. Just like I say with boundaries, boundaries are not for other people. It's you deciding. People are going to treat you one way or the other, regardless, right? It's your actual hard doing to be like, no, I'm not going to accept that behavior. No, you're not going to treat me like that. That's the hard part. Everything in the universe is connected. I have come back to this realization a billion times, and I feel like when I ever have a rediscovery of it in a new way, I just get transcended into that like high energy, high vibration spirit, because everything is interconnected. This is why, like, in so much scripture and things that we read in all of these religious texts, it's always like, God is with you. You are one with God. You have the abilities that God has. It's like, if we even had the 0.000000001% of what the creator has, how much power is that? We limit ourselves and we say that we're so unable. We just love to play the victim card. I'm just a victim of my circumstances. Like, no, you can at any time in your life change your circumstances, but that's the thing, most people don't want to. And you don't want to hear that, because you're saying, yes, I want to. I'm consciously saying that I want it, but there's so much going on beneath the surface where you are literally telling your subconscious is telling you, I don't want wealth. This feels unsafe. This feels awful. I don't want it. And that's the narrative that you are hearing over and over again, because your subconscious is always going to win over your conscious mind. In regulating my nervous system, it's all about feeling safe. That's my new thing. Make safety my normal. My childhood, I did not feel safe in a lot of different circumstances with a lot of people. I did not feel safe. So feeling unsafe, even though it feels contradictory, that is a type of normal that I have craved in my life, because we are wired to choose what's familiar, not what's good for us. So in this case, I have to recenter, rewire what's going on up here in order to make new decisions that now feel safe. There are so many instances where I've realized where I'm intentionally choosing to feel unsafe because it feels familiar, but it brings me that feeling of anxiety and fear, and no one wants that, right? In theory, like, who wants to feel bad? No one wants to feel like that. But we carry on these identities for so long that they just become normal. So that is my new saying, like, safety is my new norm. Safety is normal. Safety feels good. I cultivate feeling safe. And that's honestly what I think that a nervous system that has had a very difficult time, especially early on in childhood, that's literally the only thing that it craves. Where can I find certainty and safety? And certainty is something that you choose. But again, things are going to happen in your life that you're not going to feel like you're specifically choosing, you know? But you always can come back to reacting the way that you want to react. Next is your plan of action. When it comes to actually healing your nervous system and feeling safe within yourself, you need to show new evidence of experiences if you want this to actually happen. Like the affirmations, the meditations, therapy, all those things are wonderful tools. Some of them, you use before, you use after. But I have found that actually acting differently is what produces the fastest results. I have a quiz all about identifying your specific limiting belief type that I'll leave down below. And I also created a workbook, which is all about action-based things that you do to start creating a new narrative and rewire your mindset around those limiting beliefs. Discomfort meets thrive. So much of my life has been discomfort equals survival. And that's a pattern I think a lot of people fall into. We fall into, again, being the own victim, being like not choosing our own narratives, just whatever life throws at us, we're going to take that. But in this life, you are not here to be a victim or to simply just survive. We as humans, we have had thousands of millions of years for that to happen. There is like majority of human existence has been about survival. We don't care about anything else. We're just focused on survival. But we're turning this new age nowadays where we don't have to just only rely on survival. There are like an infinite amount of things coming up in our minds every single day, new ideas, new technology, new ways of educating. Like there's so much that's coming up. We literally are expanding our consciousness. Like people thousands and millions of years ago did not have the same consciousness that we have, because how does your consciousness expand and how are you able to create that expansion? You need to have it feel safe. It needs to be in a moment of thrive, not in a place of survive. So a big thing for this is placing yourself in situations of discomfort. That's always going to help you grow the fastest. But rather than just, I barely made it out alive, you're going to find ways to actually thrive. And I'm telling you that this is going to be a lot harder than you think if you have grown up in a place where you just did not feel safe. So this takes practice, this takes time, but the more actions that you show your brain, the more that it's going to have it's going to implement that into your subconscious mind, and it's going to now tell you, okay, last time I traveled, I had this whole scandal with my credit card and I couldn't get money and I felt so unsafe. But now I'm going to talk to my bank before I go to my travels. I'm going to bring multiple cards this time. And then you place yourself in the situation where you do that. And even if something goes wrong, you're still choosing to have more like calmness. Like this is truly the regulation of your emotions and being able to create new outcomes because of the new mentality that you hold of, I just simply know that I deserve to feel safe. It's time to call out and live with intention. A huge part of this that I'm going to bring into my own narrative is relying more on faith. Faith is what gets you through in the moments of darkness. And it's true. And it's unfortunate that a lot of times we only have faith or we only ask God for things or the universe when we're in that desperation, like last call, like worst of the worst situations is when we have those conversations and we pray and we have the intimacy with our spirituality. But if you're able to carry that, the more that you're able to carry that through the good and through the bad, like let's say as like if you're carrying that through the good, you know, you're grateful when things are going amazing, it's going to already be in your habits to have a new outcome when something bad, quote unquote, is happening. And after I cultivate that faith within, I work on affirmations. This is again like the final step. This is cementing everything together. This isn't where I would necessarily recommend that you start because it's just going to take you a lot longer. You can do it. Obviously, I talk about the different brainwave states that you're in and what times are best to do affirmations and stuff. Check out my video on affirmations if you want more info on that. But as a whole, this is something where you're cementing all of these beliefs together. So you're choosing, you've already cultivated what you believe, you're already starting to believe it, and now you're making it known in your subconscious mind. You know, if you're falling asleep to these affirmations that are saying, I'm beautiful, I'm confident, I feel good in my feminine energy, all those things, over time, yeah, you're going to see that change. But again, I think that the fastest way to do that is action-based first. Do the action first and then complete it with your affirmations. As you can tell, it's sometimes no wonder that we're so blocked within. When we just scratch the surface and start seeing what comes up around our scarcity with money, we realize that there's so much. That is a story I am willing to let go of. Again, most people are not willing to let go of the old story in order to create something new. I am. I'm choosing to believe that I am abundant. I'm choosing to believe that any time in my life where something has gone wrong, I didn't know how to figure it out, I did it. Any problem that you get in your life, God has given that to you because you can handle it. You can handle it, not other people. Other people's problems, they handle, you know? There's things that my sisters deal with where I'm like, I have no idea how I would deal with that. But same vice versa. Situations and challenges that I go through, and they're like, how are you able to get through that? Your problems are given to you based off of what you can handle. And if you truly believe that, you will know that there's no problem that's ever going to be too big for you because even your problems were created for you to grow in your spirit and in your soul. My loyalty is to my desire to change. Put that on a t-shirt, please. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate when you come back every single week to watch my videos. Share it if you really liked it, and I am so excited to see you in the next one.